What's up, real estate investors? So you're here to learn about how I'm making 5- and 6-figure checks on beautiful houses in beautiful neighborhoods, the types of houses that anyone would want to live in, and how you can do that using very little of your own money, if any, and certainly not using your own credit. In fact, the uglier your credit, the better, because when you have great credit, it's easy to go out there and sign personally on things, and you just don't have to do that, and it can get you into trouble. Ask me how I know that. So I call this presentation the wealthy real estate investor versus the broke real estate investor. And I've got a whole lot of substantive information packed into the next 10, 15, 20 minutes or so. Information that you can go out and use today to actually pull in checks on the front end, make monthly cash flow, and begin to build long-term wealth. So why don't we jump right into it? We need to go into my office so I can share some slides with you. So let's go do it right now. All right, so look, get a pen and paper or have one near, because I'm going to give you some key concepts here that can literally get you to 6 or even 7 figures a year much faster than you think. Now, everyone on here probably doesn't know me yet, so quickly, here's just a little bit of background. Over the last 25 years, I've made over $10 million in real estate. You can see the verified proof of income and a lot of the deals that I've done and the breakdown of those deals. I've got videos on this in my Facebook group, so be sure to go there and join that. I've actually published 2 #1 best-selling books. I've spoke to business leaders at Harvard University, even alongside national leaders like Arianna Huffington, Dr. Oz, and I've also scaled big and small businesses across different industries. But really, things haven't always been easy, and if you're anything like me, you've had your share of struggles too. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. Before I first got started in real estate, I worked as a cog in the wheel of corporate America, working a 9-to-5 job. And back in '92, I had a real jerk for a boss. So I knew I needed to do something else, and I saw an infomercial on television. It was for the Carlton Sheets No Money Down program. So I bought it, and I let it sit on my shelf for about a year. So I finally did get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I decided to study the course and to get a coach to help me implement. Now, while the course would be quite outdated by today's standards, I used one simple technique that my coach suggested, and I earned $30,000 in about 2 weeks. Now, from there, I devoured every other real estate training I could find. I quit my job, and I went on to do millions of dollars in real estate deals and signed up to learn from just about every real estate coach on the planet. It was the time of my life, and the best decision I ever made was just getting started. Now, I often think to myself, what if I hadn't bought that course? What if I hadn't studied it? What if I hadn't got the guidance along the way and implemented the actual training? You know, real estate, it's the business that has created more millionaires than any other business in the history of the world. And what I've done here is I've taken the very best methods and I've boiled them down to a simple system that's easy to follow, easy to learn, and easy to implement. Now, you're going to be absolutely shocked at how close most people already are to having 5- and 6-figure checks like the ones I'm going to show you. Usually it's just a few tweaks away once they get the concepts and begin implementing and then following some simple instructions. So look, everything I'm going to tell you here is 100% factual and true. I despise the BS that I see promoted all over the place because it leads to good folks giving up on huge opportunities. So let me go ahead and tell you something for starters. We're about to enter an era of the single greatest wealth transfer that any of us alive has ever seen. Those who pick up the real estate skills I'm going to lay out for you here will create generational wealth. They'll get the spoils of their labor, and they're not going to be looking back saying, I woulda, I shoulda, I coulda, like so many people who lived through the 2008-2009 crisis are saying now. Now, if you didn't pick up a bunch of real estate then like I did, then you're literally kicking yourself. And I hope nobody here lets that kind of regret happen to them again. The amount of money made by those who were prepared to clean up the mess back then, it was obscene. But it pales in comparison to what I believe is an even bigger opportunity just ahead of us. So you're going to learn how to capitalize on it with no risk because of the strategies that we deploy. So let me go back to what I said. The first thing is you're really going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked at how close you are to already having a 6- or 7-figure real estate business. Now, some people don't like it when I throw big numbers out there because it seems so far away, but just this year in 2020, by February 20th of 2020, I already pocketed a $117,000 real estate profit check, and that didn't even include the other profit centers that were associated with that deal. Now, that was one deal, and the process used to bring that money in is so easy a caveman could do it. Seriously. The business model, it's extremely simple, but the implementation takes work, and I work extremely hard. So if you're a lazy ass who expects checks to rain down on you because you studied a course or got a mentor, then you're going to fail. But if you can follow instructions, get to work, and adjust as needed, anyone can bring those kinds of profits in. So you should seriously be asking yourself, what would you do if you had that in your account right now and a pipeline of those deals about to pay off for you? Would you still go to the 9 to 5 job? Would you deal with your jackass boss? Would you do something fantastic for your spouse, for your kids, and for your family? Would you be able to relax a bit and actually enjoy life and the freedom of choice that comes along with it? All right, so enough of that. Let's talk turkey. Anyone here big time into wholesaling and rehabbing? I've done a ton of that, and it can work, but dang, it's a grind. I'll still do those deals, but does anyone else think Zillow, HomeLight, Open Door, and all these big box real estate companies with algorithms to pay 75% of value are making this a hard segment of real estate to profit in? Do you think that all the find, fix, and flip shows on TV are breeding a whole crew of folks who are paying way too much for renovation products and crowding the pro wholesalers out just a bit? Look, do you recognize this sweet young lady? She has the hit show Windy City Flip and did Kitchen Crashers and a couple other HGTV shows. She's totally awesome and she's killing it. She actually used to be my interior designer for the houses that I did in Vegas and for a couple of them in Chicago. And, I love her to death, but I can tell you this, that those TV shows are bringing pro wholesalers to their knees because so many people want to replicate. They want to replicate what Allison makes look so easy and so fun. And the truth of the matter is if you have all your real estate eggs in one basket, you're really going to have a tough go of it. So I'm not going to discourage you to do those deals, but you need to learn the other side of the business so that you can make deals on any house with any seller and not depend entirely on getting a lowball offer accepted. Now, I'm talking about beautiful houses in beautiful neighborhoods. I'm buying houses like this, and I'm buying houses like this one, and 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 I'm buying houses like this one, and this one, and this one, and even this one. And let me tell you, buying beautiful houses in beautiful neighborhoods with no need for capital or credit, it's the way. It's where the big money can be made, and it's a whole lot more fun than getting your hands dirty working with ugly junkers in rough neighborhoods. So there's no fun in that in comparison. All we have to do is make a few shifts. Shifts like I made and shifts like you can make. You'll be able to build an empire of gorgeous homes that people want to live in while profiting handsomely all along the way. Now, it can be hard to ask for help, but I did. I invested over $100,000 in real estate training and coaching, including having bought a $25,000 mastermind coaching program in 2013. And I learned a couple new things that actually changed my life for good. So let me assure you of something. Getting guided help in your development of any skill will exponentially accelerate your results, and it'll produce optimum performance provided you have the right coach. This is a key to be sure. I nearly dropped dead of an anxiety attack the first time I dropped $5,000 that I didn't have to get some mentoring, but I'll be doggoned if I didn't earn $30K about 45 days later. So needless to say, I'm extremely glad that I did that. Now, by the way, you should read this book. It's called Relentless. Michael Jordan used Tim Grover, the author of this book, as a coach, as did Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, and so many others who are already superstars to begin with. But to be the best that they could be and win championships, they went and added a great coach to take them to that next level. Now, I'm brutally honest, okay? So for those of you who like peaches and cream and berries and just want sunshine blown up the wazoo, this isn't going to be a presentation for you. This is going to be for people who actually want to know what it actually takes to build a thriving real estate business. And I'm going to tell you right now, if this was as easy as some make it out to be, every real estate investor would be wealthy, right? It wouldn't be the wealthy real estate investor versus the broke real estate investor. It is simple, but it isn't easy because you have to put effort into it. If you want to be a millionaire effortlessly, this isn't going to be for you. Now, I only budgeted about 30 minutes for this, and if you stay until the end, I'm going to give you my exact 2020 phone scripts that I used today in speaking with sellers. It's 44 pages of black and white that can turn into gold with dedicated practice. It's even updated to deal with the key questions that sellers have about the COVID-19 pandemic. So hang with me for a few minutes here. I normally sell this alone for about $300, and that document alone can make you a shiz ton of money. So if you're going to want to make sure that you stick around and get it. Now, this is all about the broke real estate investor versus the wealthy real estate investor, okay? The broke expert versus the wealthy expert. Now, the broke expert, they always have to go get new deals. They got to go get an assignment fee and then rinse and repeat. They got to go get another assignment fee and then rinse and repeat. Look, there's no residual income. There's no appreciation. There's no monthly spreads. There's no debt pay down. There's no goose that keeps laying the golden eggs. The broke investor, they don't have a choice of houses. They usually rely on ugly junkers in rough neighborhoods needing major renovations. Now, they make a bunch of money and then they're broke for a month until they grind out the next one. Broke investors, they're not building long-term wealth. They're basically grinding it out, paycheck to paycheck. And the fact of the matter is they're stressed out all the time. They have a difficult time scaling up and they get no benefit of leverage. So essentially what I'm saying is on a daily basis, all they're doing is trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And if you're on this call, I guess you might be familiar with this, right? So if you aren't as profitable as you should be, you're smart, but you're working too hard for too little and you need to work smart. You know, another thing is you're also underappreciated. People are pissed off about the ridiculous lowball offers. I make them, but I usually make them to banks. When you make them to people, they get upset. When you make them through realtors, they really get upset and they think you're a schmendrick. Not that that really matters that much, but every time you make those offers secretly, don't you feel a little bit like a D-bag? Because you're really just playing the greater fool game. Now, let's contrast that to the wealthy real estate investor. The wealthy expert, it's easy. It's the good life. They know exactly how many deals they're going to get every month, every quarter, and every year based on a formula and based on an action plan that produces the results that they expect. It's predictable, whether it's 30, 60, 90 days from now. They're going to make way more money. They're going to deal with fewer sellers, and they're going to do fewer deals, but they're going to make exponentially more money on each deal. And they get to do what they want with their time. These folks have minimal stress. They love the people they work with, and the people love them. I actually have videos of this that you can check out where there's happy sellers and happy buyers, and even happy realtors. Generally, a miserable class of people, but not so when they work with me. By the way, I talk a lot of smack about realtors, but my better half is one, and if she can take a little clowning, then hopefully you guys can too. I do highly recommend that investors get a real estate license or have someone on their team that is a realtor. But I have way too much detail on that, an opinion on that I can give you later if you like. There's a lot of money to be made that we as investors, we tend to throw it away, and we should be harnessing it because we can make that industry smarter and we can make it better, and we probably should. Now, the first element that you're going to need to be the wealthy real estate investor is a plan that allows you to meet the needs and solve the problems of more sellers. I call this my all-comers plan, and it means this. There's literally no house that we can't make an offer on and we can't make a deal on. You just have to have more than one strategy in your playbook. And the method is better. It's better because the market is all-inclusive. It's a bigger pond with way more fish, way less fishermen, because everybody's out there wholesaling, and you can catch more fish in a bigger pond with more fish. So speaking of ponds of water, let's go back out to the pool. I want to draw out how this works on the whiteboard. I'm going to take you out there for a minute, and then we're going to come right back and look at some slides. Come on. So where the rubber meets the road is being able to explain to the seller exactly what's in it for them and having a very clear understanding of what sellers like and what sellers don't like. So let's just review that carefully here. Sellers, they don't want to pay a 6% commission. They're pretty much locked into having to do that if they want to get a qualified buyer, if they want to sell for cash, if they want to get paid within the next 30, 60, 90, 120 days, they're going to have to deal with a commission because all buyers are represented by realtors. You'd be crazy to not use a realtor if you're a buyer because their services are free. You get driven around in a Cadillac, you get taken to Starbucks, you get treated like royalty, and the seller ends up paying the commission on it. So they're pretty much locked into a commission. It may not always be 6%, but it's going to be awfully close to that if the realtor has some good skills in getting the listing. So that's a hell of a lot of money on a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house, let alone $1 million or $2 million house like some of the ones that I've been working on lately. So they want to avoid that commission. They also want to avoid the price discounts. Everybody comes in and makes an offer, and then there's going to be a little bit of cat and mouse game on the negotiation. The seller would prefer to avoid that if they could avoid that. Then there's the inspector. The inspector comes in and they nitpick this and they nitpick that, and they're told by the realtor, and they're told by, maybe not by the realtor, but they're told by the buyer to some extent that find everything you can, let me know, because the game plan is to try to get a concession at the last minute when the seller doesn't have any leverage. And that happens all the time in these deals. There's also the bank appraisal that has to occur. There's a loan contingency in a lot of these contracts that are for cash and the ones that are going to close quickly. And then the seller's got to sit there and be anxious and wait and wonder, is the appraisal going to come in? Is the lender going to qualify this buyer? And there's a little bit of angst that comes with that. They'd prefer to avoid it. A lot of sellers and the seller's realtors will write up contracts. A lot of buyers and the buyer's realtors will write up contracts that ask for loan points, 1, 2, 3 points to help get the loan to come through so that they can actually close on the house. Then of course there's the tire kickers that come by on a Sunday afternoon just wanting to do a house tour of the local lake area neighborhood or whatever neighborhood you're in. And then it's very rare that a buyer is going to pay the seller's closing costs, but we do. So if a seller can avoid all of these things, then they have quite a lot of benefit to consider. So what we try to do is present that narrative to the seller before we get into what we're asking in return. There's always a trade-off here, right? The seller is effectively trading off all of these items here in order to get their money quicker. But it's a hell of a trade-off to make, and not everybody has to do that or wants to do that or would do that if they knew about the alternative. So the alternative is this. We're going to go in and talk to the seller, and we're going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, love this house. It's a beautiful house. It's a fantastic house. It's exactly the kind of house that I'm looking for. And I think I'd like to buy it. And let that set in, and then we let them know that we're not going to live in the house ourselves, but we'd still like to buy it, and we're looking at the price of it, and the price doesn't really even seem that intimidating. It doesn't seem that out of line. As I look at the comps, it's pretty close. Now, we might ask you for a little bit of a discount on this thing, but I think you're pricing this house just about right, so we can probably give you a full price on this house. You pause, you let that set in, and then you let them know that, look, we're not realtors, we're not looking to get a listing, we're going to come in and buy the house, and we're not going to have any inspectors coming in, nitpicking at everything, and asking you for last minute concessions. We're not going to have appraisals that need to be done where you got to wait 45 days just to find out if a loan is going to come through. In fact, if the house is vacant, we can close on it right away. If you're living there, we can close on it, really whenever you're ready. We're ready to go on the house. Now, I might also tell you that we're willing to pay your closing costs for you. You won't have to come out of pocket at all on this thing, and you'll be able to keep all that equity that's in this house. Beyond that, you're not going to have people traipsing through your house on a Saturday and Sunday afternoon where you got to clean up, make it all pretty and spruce it up, and then have them not show up. You can have this done right away. So there's a tremendous amount of benefit in selling the house to us, the most of which is that you're going to get more money from us than anybody else, and I can show you that on paper. So I bet this is all sounding pretty good to you right about now, isn't it? And then they're going to know that here comes the catch, and there definitely is one, right? It's not a catch, but it's a trade-off, and you can just admit that. Be transparent. Tell it like it is to the sellers. Just say, look, there is a trade-off on this, but I'm going to pay you for that trade-off. The trade-off is that you get all of these benefits. Full price. We pay your closing costs. You don't have to have any discounts. You don't have realtor commissions. You get to keep all of your money, but all we need from you is just a little bit of patience. but we're going to pay you for that patience. We need you to rent the house to us for a little bit or take a monthly payment for a little while until we can get you paid off in full. And if you can operate within that paradigm, within that model, you're going to net more money with us than you will with anybody else. And is that something that you're open to, and is that something that you'll consider? Because if you will, I'm your Huckleberry and I'm ready to go. That's the narrative. That's what sellers need to consider. That's what we're offering, and we get a whole lot of offers accepted that way because you don't have to go out and lowball the seller. You don't have to have a tremendous amount of equity in the house. You don't have to go and do major renovations, and you don't have to get sellers to sell the house for 60 and 70 cents on the dollar. This opens up a huge market. You can literally make an offer on just about any house. In fact, you can make an offer on any house, even houses that are upside down. And when we go back into my office, I'll share some of that with you. So what we do when we get the sellers to agree to that is we run the comps on it. We probably will show them the lowest comps and try to get them to agree to the lowest price that we can. You know, full price is not a specific exact price. It's a range. We're going to try to get in on the low end of that range, but at a fair price. So we'll show them some comps, and then we'll do the same thing with the monthly payment. We're going to try to get them to agree to the lowest monthly payment possible. You'd be astonished at how many people will agree to just making sure that they don't have to come out of pocket at all. You can get houses where the monthly payment is just the taxes and the insurance. And you can have a $500 to $1,000 or $2,000 a month spread on what you're renting it for the period of time that you have until you get them cashed out. If they have an underlying mortgage on it, often you just have to pay the principal, the interest, taxes, insurance, HOA, make sure they don't come out of pocket with everything or with anything, and you can still have a spread over and above that when you look at what the market rent is in that neighborhood. So we're going to create a spread between what our monthly payment is to the seller and what the monthly payment is that we're receiving from our buyer, and we're going to do the same thing on the price. We're going to sell to our buyer for higher than we're buying it from our seller. And we're able to do that because they're getting a beautiful house and they can't qualify for a loan right now, and they care a lot more about the monthly payment than they do about anything else. So what we'll do is we'll install that renter slash buyer, and in order to do that, we're going to get a very big deposit from them, a large non-refundable deposit from that tenant buyer. These are people who are self-employed. These are people who make good money, have a lot of money. Maybe they can't get a loan right now. Maybe they just got laid off as a result of the virus situation, and they can't get a loan until they get a new job and they get the seasoning that comes with that. Seasoning meaning showing income for a year or so. Well, they still want to live in a beautiful house. They don't want to live in an apartment, but they've got plenty of cash, but they just don't qualify for a loan right now. So we'll pick up a deposit from them. We'll pick up monthly income from them. And when we get them qualified, we will bring in the new money that gets us paid even more and cashes out the seller. Maybe. We don't always go for the back end. Sometimes we do. It depends on what the situation is with the seller. But we're going to get this big deposit, and we're going to have that as upfront money, and then we're going to have a payment spread that occurs over the term of the length of the agreement that we have with the seller and the length of the agreement that we have with the buyer. And like I said, there's a potential big back end spread on these too, but maybe we don't even want that. Keep in mind, over the term, we're getting debt pay down on the underlying loan with the seller. So we're creating an even bigger back end spread when that new loan comes in. So there's a lot of detail that I can go through on this, and there's some nuances to it, but this is a tremendous way to build wealth because you get paid up front, much more than you would get paid on an assignment fee wholesaling a house, probably as much as you would profit on a rehab. This is upfront money. Then you hold the house for a couple of years, bringing in monthly cash flow, month after month, times 10, 20, 30 houses, however many you want to do. And sometimes the houses even appreciate in value over that time, so you have another profit center coming in. Often, the buyer gets qualified, you can go back to that seller and renegotiate and say, hey, do you want to wait till the end of the term to get paid, or do you want to get paid now? And you can discount what's owed and create yet another spread. So you put all of this together and you have a recipe for creating cash now, cash tomorrow, and building great wealth for the future. And that's what this system is about, and that's what I aim to teach you. So anyway, I'm going to go back into the office and we're going to go through some more slides and get into some more specifics on what we want to do next, okay? But I want you to understand this concept. I want you to understand the narrative, because that's where the money's made.
Okay, so now you have a very detailed look at how this works, but you need at least two other pieces to really have
a foundation. It's like three strong pillars to hold up this empire. So let's look at the second piece. The second element you need to be the wealthy real estate investor is the ability to clearly articulate the offer to sellers. You must know what to say and you must be consistent with it. It's not hard, but it takes a great script and a lot of live and role play practice with constant constructive critique until you can make offers perfectly, even if you were punch drunk asleep. So look, I've gone through the same conversation so many times, thousands of times, that today I could literally recite this stuff even if I was in a coma. Now, when you know the offer that well, you come across as confident, you come across competent, and your authenticity and your ability to listen and answer seller questions with complete transparency shines through. So that's why I close most of the deals that I want to close. It's really not that hard. It's just that you have to repeat the process over and over and fine tune it. And repetition may be the mother of mastery as long as the right improvements are being made to the things that you need to improve on. Things like tone and pace and inflections. Really the things that only a coach who listens to your recorded calls can provide. So the third element of a wealthy real estate investor is what? Yep, the third element is you need the right flipping coach, right? Now, I think everybody knows what that word is, and I want to say it that dramatically because it's so vitally important. It needs to be emphasized because look, if you mess this up, you're totally screwed, okay? You have to have the right freaking coach. And that's what you're going to have to do if you want to be the wealthy real estate investor. And if you're the person who thinks you're never going to have a coach or someone help you, you're completely wrong. I spent over $100,000 on coaches and I've learned a ton and made wads of cash, but it wasn't really until a $25,000 mastermind that I did that I finally found a Jedi master who helped me immeasurably and shifted my thinking and my execution in a way that I no longer really had to grind like a slave to find the right house for what really amounted to a singular strategy. So if you tried real estate investing and you haven't got anywhere, it's probably because of three main reasons. One, you didn't do the work. Now that's your fault. Now, the second reason might be you were taught a bad or an outdated pathway. That's not your fault. But maybe you had the right pathway, but you had the wrong or no coach at all. Now, I'd submit to you that that would kind of be your fault. Wouldn't you agree? So the idea is that a coach can help you move. They can help you adjust. They can help you optimize. Now, one like me is ideal because I do what no one else that I know does. I can actually be your buyer. So if you get a good deal, but you're too scared to close, I'll buy the dang thing from you. I discourage it because I want people to push themselves through the anxiety, but sometimes it does mean that I need to put some cash in their hand and show them later why they shouldn't have sold it to me so that they can do it themselves the next time. Now, I've even gone as far as being the financer if needed. I just don't want great deals slipping through the cracks because someone's a novice who's a little scared at first. So armed with these two other aspects that I provide, the coach is a buyer and the coach is a financer, it truly makes you the 800-pound gorilla of your market. There's no deal you can't do and no deal that is too big for you. You're a cowboy, baby. Gunslinging 12 inches of hard steel. And when you walk into a room or into a seller's house, people are going to know that. They're going to smell it on you. That's the way we do it. That's the way we roll, okay? Now look, you really only have two choices from here. You can say, hey, Joel, that's nice, and you can go back to life as usual. And generally speaking, that's going to mean going back to under-earning your worth. It's going to mean going back to being stressed all the dang time, and worse, underperforming your potential. Because it's kind of like that character, Sonny Lespecchio. He was in that movie, A Bronx Tale. And what did he say? He said, there's nothing worse than wasted talent. So don't waste your talent, man. So you can go back to being a knowledgeable real estate investor, but also a broke one, which is ridiculous because it means you have a lot of desire, a lot of know-how, but no clarity on what you're missing and how to easily go out and get it. You can also say, well, thanks, Joel. Thanks, man. But I think I'd like to go back to not making money right away and just try to figure this out on my own. Well, absolutely, you can do that, and I won't be mad at you. And there's nothing wrong with that, except it's going to take you 3 years to figure it all out on your own without a coach until you get into a groove and until you get your certificate from the School of Hard Knocks. Now, the other option, and I'd submit to you that this is the best option, is you can make this a defining moment in your life, and you can make this the day where you pivot and finally get going, man. So that brings us to option number 2. You'd say, well, I listened to Joel's presentation. It was actually quite logical, not a bunch of empty emotional garbage. And if what he says represents the cold hard facts about real estate investing, then I should be in. And, you may go on to say, you know what? I've had enough of this broke real estate investor stuff, and I want to make what I want to make, and I want to buy my mom and my spouse and my kids and myself whatever I want to buy, and I want to have the car, and I want to have this, and I want to have that, and I want to have the house, and I want to have the things that I want. I also want to show my friends, I want to show my family, I want to show folks what I'm truly made of and what I can be and what I can do. Now that is empowering, my friend. That's living the high life. And when you can do that, then you've really done something. And I'm here to tell you that you really, truly are not that far away from making this a reality. So the net of all this is that you should be saying, man, I want to get good at this working with you because, I know you've done it for yourself. I know you've done it for countless others, and I know you can do it for me too. And you should be saying, I can follow instructions. I can work hard. I can make decisions. And that's really what it comes down to. Look, guys, decisiveness, it's extremely important in this business. If you can't make decisions after getting enough facts, just like what I've shared with you here in a very brief time, then you'll have a real tough time in real estate. On the other hand, if you can make decisions and you can move forward, those are the people who succeed. Those are the people who make the most money, and those are the people that I want to spend my valuable time personally working with the most. Now, I'm going to ask you to help me help you. Don't let this just be another moment where you learn something, then walk away from it and never utilize it, never grasp it, and never understand the value of what you have in the palm of your hand, okay? The easier, faster way to success is in the VIP line. Get in the VIP line and get a mentorship from someone who has a proven roadmap to follow and who's actually done it repeatedly for themselves and for others. So look, if you do want proven results, then I have something special for you. And seriously, there's no pressure to take it, because if you don't feel it's a fit, then don't do it. But it is my job to put it in front of you, and it's your job to take it or not. It's completely your call. And here it is. Now, over the next few days, what I've done is I've set aside some personal time to talk to you and see if I can help. So we'll talk roughly for about 30 to 60 minutes. It's possible it could be closer to 60 because I want to map out an action plan for you to reach your goals, to fix what's broken, to accelerate your growth, to accelerate your earnings, accelerate your wealth. Now, if you want to do this hands-on together, and I decide that I'm positive I can actually help you, I'm going to invite you in, okay? Now, if I'm not positive, I just won't. And I won't because I don't really need the money, and I don't want the hassle or even the slightest chance of failure. What I do want is I want people who I will get glowing testimonials from later. I want to have them flashing checks at the camera and singing my praises for helping them. That's the next thing I want to accomplish in my life. And I need the right people to work with to help me reach that goal while you reach your goals that I've already achieved for myself. And I can show you how to do it. So again, there's zero pressure, okay? This is only for people who actually need help and want the help. So bold statement here. Now, maybe sounds a little arrogant, but I know it'll be true for some of you. This probably could end up being the most profitable 45 minutes or so of your life. You could come out of that call wound up, gassed up, and power charged to go out and do stuff, to get feedback, to do stuff, to get feedback, to do stuff, and to get feedback. That's what a coach provides. And then voila, boom, $20,000 in your pocket. It happens all the freaking time. And if you can make the right decision here, it can happen to you. All right, so you have to want this. And I'm going to say it again. It's not as easy as all the sham wow like real estate guys you see out here say it is. You do have to work. This isn't for freaking crybabies. And this isn't for people who are lazy. This is for people who want to greatly accelerate their effectiveness in real estate and make cash now. They want to make cash monthly and they want to build long-term wealth simultaneously. It takes effort. Look, it's not going to rain down checks upon you because you do a call with me. I'm good, but I'm not that flipping good. All right. So for those of you who want to hop on a call, just go to that link below here, below this video, okay? It should be open or popping up right now. By the way, you're going to get me personally and not some coach's minions like so many other real estate people do. It's with me, Joel Sangerman, and I'm just one guy with a family and a personal life and a huge business too. So the space for this, it's going to be limited. It just has to be. It's going to be on a first come, first served basis. Now, I promise you it is limited, and this isn't just some scarcity tactic BS. I'm not going to be able to talk to everyone. I just can't, and I'm just not. But I am going to be taking good fits who can deal with my assertiveness, who can deal with my direct and specific instruction giving, those who can deal with my holding them accountable, which I will do, and with people who are decisive, people who can move fast, and people who don't whine like soft little cupcake eating toddlers. I am selective. I paid ads to run traffic to this. So I'm going to let that investment do the work for me in screening who's going to partner with me. This way, I don't have to do so much of the selection stuff on my own. My point is that you should seriously expect the available time slots to go fast. And I'm not pressuring you to grab one, but I am saying if you want to speak, you should probably go ahead and get on it ASAP. Now, let's talk about the next phase, okay? If we work together, we're going to work one-on-one. If we get on the call and you're someone I can really help for sure, then we're going to talk about it and determine the course forward. If we get on the call and you're not someone that I'm sure I can really help, well, we're on the phone anyway, and I'm still going to give you some ideas and some clarity on a plan, and then you can go out and implement on your own, and I may recommend someone else that you can go to who might be a better fit for your coaching or for your personality. Now, that's pretty fair, isn't it? All right, now we're getting to the last points here. If you thought this presentation was good, you should see what it's like being with me as your coach. You could probably imagine that, right? I'm very direct with the folks that I'm aligned with. Now, there's nothing more important to me. And frankly, as far as this coaching aspect of my real estate business goes, there's nothing more important than you getting results, because otherwise I just look like another real estate coach who takes people's money and leaves them hanging. I don't want to leave anyone hanging. I don't want to do that. So it's easy to start in real estate. It's not even that hard to implement, but the magic happens in the optimization. That's why I have lots of one-on-one sessions, so we can get each individual optimized so they can get in an unstoppable groove of success, making huge wads of cash and setting up their future with an empire of real estate. So again, the link to schedule is below. You can sign up for the call, but maybe you have questions, right? So before I wrap this up, I know some of you are like, well, what's this going to cost? Well, the real answer is, what's it going to cost you to do it on your own? Because mastering this on your own is going to cost you a minimum of 3 years of your life, just like it did for me before I got really good. It took me at least 2 years of 50-50 success and failing, and I'm probably one of the most tenacious people out there. So for most people will just end up giving up with that kind of scenario. Now, to be perfectly frank, most who go it alone probably aren't even going to figure it out. And I can guarantee you one thing, that if I could go back to the 1990s when I started, I guarantee you I would have got a lot more help from experts and would have been more accepting of the idea that I needed coaching to accelerate my progress. I do it for sure as a dead certainty. I do that, and you probably should too. Because here's what's going to happen, frankly, is you're going to run out of energy if you haven't already, if you do it on your own. And then you're going to be stuck back in your 9 to 5, never really knowing what your full potential was because you didn't take the helping hand that's being offered to you. So reach for the hand, get the boost you need. Seriously, do it. It's logical, it makes sense, and it can make you incredibly wealthy. All right, so that's it for now. I just want you all to know what's possible and, most importantly, what's probable for you if you have the right pieces to the puzzle. All right, so you can do this. You just don't know exactly how to do it yet. So I look forward to you signing up for a call. The spots are going to go fast. I don't know how long I'll do this for, But I do sincerely hope you take action on this. I hope you do. And I appreciate you showing up for the presentation, and I hope to talk to you very soon. So good luck out there, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Ciao for now.